Hourglass came out with 3 new ambient lighting edits for their holiday of 2024. What's kind of special this year is that each palette there are 6 shades and 5 of them are new. Because in years past they're kind of known for putting existing shades in their ambient lighting edit, except for maybe 1 or 2 here and there. But this year all 3 palettes out of the 6 shades, 5 of them are new. And I did get all 3 palettes. There's one for fair skin, medium skin, and deep skin. Even though my skin is medium to tan, I did pick up the one for fair because I just wanted to see how it worked. So again, there are 3 new palettes, and each one of these palettes has a different design, and they were designed by the artist Katie Scott. And I believe she's designed them in years past as well. And Hourglass is letting us customize each palette again this year. Where if you want the dragon palette, but you didn't like the dragon, maybe you wanted the evil eye, so you can switch what's inside the dragon palette into the evil eye palette. But in this video, I went ahead and bought the corresponding palette with the design. I guess that's how you can say it. And each one of these do cost $90 each, and I believe it was the same price from last year. But last year it did raise up from the year before. But anywho, let me go ahead and show you the 3 designs. We have one for fair skin, and this is the dragon palette. Let me go ahead and take off the plastic. Very satisfying. And I have to say, this is very pretty packaging. Symbolic of supernatural power, wisdom, and strength, this dragon face palette includes 1 best-selling shade of finishing powder and 5 brand new shades of finishing powder, blush, bronzer, and highlighter to diffuse, enhance, and add glow to the complexion. Now, when I did open this, 1 shade did pop out. And let's see, let me be careful here, figure out which one. Yeah, it was this one, as you could see. I have seen some videos where this is empty, where there's no powder anywhere. I don't know how that happened. But you know what? I'm looking at the back of this that came out. It has the word art engraved in the back. Huh. I wonder if behind each one of these there's a different word. I'm not going to take it out. I'm not going to see. But that's kind of interesting. And you can kind of see that it did mess up my mirror here, but that's okay. Luckily, the powder didn't break, and I've also seen videos where some of the powders are kind of cracked or nicked or whatnot. So I can deal with this one. Let me go ahead and show you the dragon palette, and this one's for fair skin. And again, there are 5 new shades and 1 existing shade. And in each one of these, the existing shade is the finishing powder. Now I can tell you that this finishing powder, the first one here, let me get closer so you're not blinded by the mirror. But this finishing powder, I think it's going to be too light for me. And this is the one that's existing. So what I'm going to do with each palette is swatch them and then apply it to one side of my face. And hopefully this will help you. Before I swatch it, let me go ahead and show you the boxes. Each box comes with its own design. So that's really nice. But these boxes will go into the recycling bin. I really don't keep them. But I wanted to show it to you before I put it in the bin. Okay, let's go ahead and swatch the dragon palette. So this one is Dreamlight, the existing shade, and this is the finishing powder, which is a cool pearl with soft lavender sheen. Let me just kind of build it up. Yeah, I don't know how this will work on my skin. It may be a little bit ashy, but we're gonna try it. Okay, now let's go to the ambient lighting blush, and this one is a new shade, which is Peach Fusion, and that's a soft peach pink. That's a pretty blush. Oh, I hope that this will show up on my skin. This powder does have 2 finishing powders, and this one is a new shade. It's Divine Light, which is a translucent with sheer pink sheen. Okay, I can see that this one does have a pink sheen to it, but I don't know, they do look a little similar. On my arm, they do look a little similar. Next is this pretty blush, which is Mauve Haze. And this is the one that I really wanted to try. And that is a soft plum. Oh yeah, it is soft. Now let me show you the bronzer. This one's gonna be light. It'll probably be more as a finishing powder, but let me swatch it and see. And the name of this is Soft Bronze, which is a matte natural bronze. Yeah, that's gonna be light for a bronzer for me, but we'll try it as a powder. And the last one is a strobe lighting, the one that fell out of my pan that has the word art behind it, and that is Sunlit Strobe Light, which is a pale pink champagne. Oh yeah, that's got some strobe to it. Actually, that's very pretty. So let's see, which one should I try first? Let me try this blush Peach Fusion first. And I'm using a dense brush. It's by Sonia G, and I believe it's the Master Face. This one's a little bit dense, so hopefully the color will show on my skin. It shows a little bit just from this first one, because this is the deepest shade in this palette. If you're my skin tone or deeper, it won't show up on your skin. I mean, it is giving me a soft blush, but it's not worth $90 for just 1 or 2 shades in here. All right, let me clean this brush, and let's go into this blush, Mauve Haze. And let's put you right here. And actually, you can see this one a little bit more. maybe putting them together does kind of help, and actually it does look pretty together. But again, it's not worth $90 if you're my skin tone or deeper. Now let's go into the strobe light. I mean, yeah, that's pretty. I don't know, it does look a little ashy. Now I'm going to use this bronze, soft bronze as a finishing powder. And let me just set you underneath the eyes here. Not bad, actually, but still not my favorite. Now let's go into this one, Divine Light, and just kind of do the forehead on this side. Let me move my hair so you can see the difference. Yeah, it does show a little cast there. Yeah. Now I'm scared to do Dreamlight, but let's do it, and let's put you underneath the eyes. Let me just add a little bit more so you can see it. This palette, it's not showing up. Even the blushes I thought you could looked good together, but no, it just looks a little ashy. So this palette, again, it's not worth $90 if you're my skin tone or deeper. It is pretty if you're lighter than me, but yeah, it just doesn't look right. So this palette will probably go to a family or friend. But I'm still glad I got it so I can show it to you, see how it works on my skin tone, and you can tell it really doesn't. Now let's go into Evil Eye, and let's take off the plastic here. And this is one of my favorite designs. I really do like the Evil Eye. And I like how they put the H in the eye. Because you know, they always have the H for Hourglass on their palettes. But if you know me and my channel, I always like to say that the H stands for Heba. Yeah, but we all know it doesn't. But the Evil Eye is a universal symbol of protection and intuition. This Evil Eye face palette includes 5 brand new shades of blush, bronzer, and highlighter to diffuse, enhance, and add glow to the complexion. Luckily, nothing fell out in this palette. So again, you do have a finishing powder which is existing, and it's this one, and then the rest are all new, which includes 3 blushes, a strobe light, and a bronzer. All right, now we're getting to shades that hopefully will work. So let's go into the existing shade, which is Soft Light, a finishing powder, which is a pale peach. Yeah, I can see that this is more of a peach than these two. These do look ashy, but let's see how this one works. Next, we have a brand new shade, Rose Gold Strobe Light, which is a soft rose gold. Oh yeah, this one's a lot prettier than the one from the Dragon palette. Now let's go to the first blush in this palette, which is Pink Fusion, and this is a cool pink. Yeah, this has a little bit more color than, or a lot more color than the Dragon palette. Now let's go to the next blush, and everyone's talking about it because it's not a pink blush. This one right here, which is Oasis Glow. I hope this one will work on my skin. And this one's a shimmering warm apricot. I think it's going to be a little light, but we'll apply it. And then we have this blush, which is Vibrant Coral, and it's a true coral. It looks pink on me. Again, it kind of looks similar to this one. And then this bronze shade, hope it works as a bronzer for me, which is Natural Bronze, a matte medium bronze. This one does look a little cool and maybe a little ashy. What do you think? Let me apply it to this side, and let's start with the bronzer, Natural Bronze. It's not bad. I see it's a little bit more pinkish in tone on me. On camera it does show a little bit deeper, but in the mirror it just looks like a brownish pinkish blush. I don't know, what do you think? Kind of lukewarm on it actually. All right, let's keep going. Let's go into this blush, Pink Fusion, and I'm gonna apply that in the back. Okay, it's not bad. I have to say it's not one of my favorites. It does work well with that bronzer. Could probably just mix those two together. Now let's go into the Vibrant Coral, and let's put you in the cheeks, in the apples here. Yeah, this one is bright. Actually, this color's not bad. I like this one, this supposedly coral shade, but it looks more pink on me. It's not bad. Now let's go into the Strobe Light. Oh yeah, that one's pretty. That one's pretty. Actually, it's pretty with the blush. I like that one. All right, now let's go with the existing shade Soft Light, the finishing powder, and put you underneath. And everywhere else on this side. This side does look better than this side for sure, hands down. But I have to say the powders look so good on the skin. It's just the colors. This side Yeah, forget about it. I'm gonna take this side off. But this side looks a little bit better. It's not one of my favorites. We'll see what the Lotus palette looks like, but it's a lot better than the Dragon palette for sure. Yeah. You know what? I forgot to add that blush, the one that everyone's talking about, Oasis Glow. All right, let me go ahead and add that. I was wondering, I didn't put all 6 shades. So let me add this and see what you can do. Actually, that's not bad. That is pretty. I can see some color. It's not ashy. Let me build it up some more. Yeah, I do like this color. Yeah, this is nice. I'm gonna put Oasis Glow, that shade, on this side, but I want you to see what the Dragon palette looks like compared to the Evil Eye palette. So again, this is the Dragon, Evil Eye. Light and ashy, medium and has some color. Now let me go ahead and add Oasis Glow on this side, just to see if there's a difference. All right, by itself, it is light, but when you add it with one of the pink blushes, I think it's very pretty. But so far, another one, I don't think this one is worth $90 if you're my skin tone or deeper. That's just my opinion, but we're gonna try the Lotus palette. But first, let me wipe this side off, the Dragon palette. Because yeah, that's pretty much maybe what's throwing me off with this palette. What do you think now? Here's the Dragon palette, Evil Eye palette. All right, let me take this side off. That looks a little bit better, even though there's no makeup on this side except for foundation and primer and concealer. At least it looks a lot better than what I had with the Dragon palette. But let's take a look at the Lotus palette. And you know, this one is a pretty design. I kind of like it. They really hit it out of the park with the designs in this palette. And let's take a look what's inside the Lotus Flower palette. It's symbolic of personal growth and resilience. This Lotus Flower face palette includes 1 best-selling finishing powder and 5 brand new shades of blush, bronzer, and highlighter to diffuse, enhance, and add glow to the complexion. And this one was the anticipated one because it has deeper shades. Now again, there's 1 existing shade, which is this. This is the finishing powder, and I believe Eternal Light. And I do have this one in another palette. This one has 2 blushes, 2 strobe lights, and 1 bronzer. I mean, it would have been nice to have 3 blushes in this palette instead of 2 strobe lights. That's just me. That's just my opinion. But let me go ahead and swatch the first strobe light, which is Gilded Strobe Light, and let me put it on this arm. And this is a warm bronze gold. Yeah, that's pretty. Now let's go into this new blush, which is called Desert Flush, and it's a deep beige peach. Has a little bit more color than the other one. I can see that this is more peachy. I kind of like this one. I hope this one applies well. And let's go into the existing shade. This finishing powder, Eternal Light, which is a golden amber. Like I said, I do have this shade and it's very pretty. Yeah, it's very pretty as a finishing powder for me. Now let's go into the other strobe light. It's Radiant Rose Strobe Light, which is a shimmering copper rose. All right, that's pretty. And here is another anticipated blush, this red blush. And I have to say, it's not as smooth as the other blushes. I don't know if because of the pigments that they had to put in here, but this one's called Red O, and it is a true red. Yeah, that's pretty. Ooh, I can't wait to apply that one. The last one's the bronzer, which is Bronze Heat, and it's a matte deep bronze. Okay, we'll see if this is a deep bronze for us. But here's the Lotus Flower palette. Let's start with the bronzer, and that one's called Bronze Heat. Yeah, this bronzer looks a lot better on my skin tone. Yeah, let me put it on my forehead. Oh, I didn't put the bronzer on my forehead on the other side. Just for kicks, let me add the bronzer from the Evil Eye palette on this side so you can see the difference. Yeah, I think the Lotus Flower shows up a lot better on my skin. So you can build it up, so maybe it might show up if you're a little deeper than me. I like this one a lot better than the Lotus Flower bronzer. Now let me go into this blush, Red O. I guess red blushes are in this season. Let me just, oh yeah, that's pretty. And if you are my skin tone and deeper, this will work. I mean, I don't need to build it up or anything like that. That's pretty. And actually, probably I put too much. But at least you can see what it looks like. But yeah, that's pretty. Now let's go into this blush, which is Desert Flush. And let's put you in the apples of my cheeks. Oh yeah, that one's pretty too. Right off the bat. Yeah, that Red O is pigmented. You just need a little bit. But that Desert Flush is not bad. It just kind of softens it up a little bit. Let me just add a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty. All right, which strobe lights should we use? I do wish that there were 3 blushes instead of 2 strobe lights. Let's go into the Copper Rose one, which is Radiant Rose strobe light. And let's put you here. You know, it kind of blends in very nice. And it's not much of a highlight. I would say this is more like a blush topper. Let's try the other strobe light, which is Gilded strobe light. And let's put you on top. Yeah, this one looks more like a highlighter. Yeah. Okay, so you can probably use one as a highlighter and one as a shadow topper, because it kind of blends in with the blushes. The Radiant Rose strobe light. Yeah, that's giving me a lot of shine there. I use every shade. I use the bronzer, both blushes, and both strobe lights. Now let's go into the finishing powder, which is what I have, and I love this one. I use it a lot. So let's put you underneath the eyes here. Yeah, this is more my skin tone. This one's a little bit bright. Not as ashy as the Dragon one, but this one is brighter. This one's more my skin tone. And then put it over the blush just to kind of, you know, diffuse that. All right, so here is the Lotus palette, and here is the Evil Eye palette. Which one do you think? Right off the bat, I do like the Lotus Flower a lot better than the Evil Eye. Before I let you know what I think about these palettes, let's do some comparisons. This one was from last year's. I only got one. Last year they did come out with 3. 2 of the palettes were or had existing shades, so I didn't pick those up, plus they were lighter. And this one, you can also customize it, which I did. This is technically the Snake palette, and I picked the Owl palette, because I think that one's really cute. So here is last year's palette, which is the Snake palette, and then let me put it next to the Lotus palette, which is this one. Snake, Lotus. Yeah, I would say this year is a little bit deeper, especially with that red blush. And they do look different. So let me go ahead and swatch this one here. This is a finishing powder Radiant Light, which is one of my favorites as well. This is what I like to use for underneath my eyes. So let me put you here. Yeah, this one's lighter and peachier. And then here's the one from the Evil palette, so let me just put it next to that. This one from last year's palette is not as ashy as the one from here, the Evil Eye palette. Now this blush is Coral Haze, and let me put you on this side as well. Yeah, it's more pinker than this blush. The Lotus palette's a little bit more coral. And then this palette has only 1 strobe light. Let's put you next to this strobe light. Yeah, this one's a little bit more champagne, a little bit lighter than the Lotus palette. Let's go to this blush, Sunbeam. Again, this one's from the Snake palette, last year's palette. This one has a little bit more of a shimmer. And then this blush, Mystic Flush. Yeah, it is different from this year's palette. And then this bronzer, which is Solar Bronze. And let's put you here. Yeah, this one's lighter. So this year's is deeper. 2 years ago, the palette I picked was the Tiger palette. That was the deepest of the, I believe there was also 3 in that one as well. I think it was Butterfly, Elephant, and Tiger. So this one's Tiger, and this one's Lotus Flower. Yeah, this one's deeper. Whoop, my hand's in the way. And they do look different. Let me swatch this one in the Tiger, which is Copper Flash strobe light. And let me put you here. Yeah, that one's different. And then let me swatch this blush. It's Burnish Glow. Has some shimmer to it. And let's put you here. Yeah, this one's a little bit more pumpkin-y, a little bit more orangey. And then let me go ahead and do this blush, Iridescent Rose. And let's put you here. Yeah, that one's different. It's a little bit pinker. And then this finishing powder is Transcendent Light, and I'm going to show it to you in a different palette. I think 2 or 3 years ago, Hourglass did come out with a Volume 3 ambient lighting palette, and this one's more for the deeper skin tone, and I love this palette. So you have 2 finishing powders and a strobe light. This is Eternal Light that's in the Lotus palette, and then here's the Transcendent Light, which is a little bit deeper of a finishing powder, and this is what I use as a bronzer. And let me put you here. So yeah, this one's a little bit deeper. Let me swatch Eternal Light in the Lotus palette and swatch it next to it. This finishing powder from the trio is a little bit deeper than the finishing powder in the Lotus palette. So it would have been nice if they included this shade in this palette instead of maybe the extra strobe light, but at least they did put a deeper finishing powder in this year's collection. And I believe each of these finishing powders, you can buy them separately, but this is a really pretty palette. You know what, let me do another swatch comparison. Let me swatch this bronzer that's in the Lotus palette next to Transcendent Light, which is in that volume 3. All right, so this one is cooler in tone than the Transcendent Light, but then again, this is a finishing powder. But just to give you some comparisons of the two. Yeah, the bronzer in here is a little bit cooler in tone, and the finishing powder is warmer. All right, now what do I think about these palettes? The Dragon palette, love this packaging, but what's inside, if you're my skin tone or deeper, maybe a little bit lighter than me, the Dragon palette, yeah, I would skip. Save the money. Save your money. It's pretty, but you saw how it looked on my skin. It didn't look pretty. It looked ashy. The Evil Eye palette, I have to say it's nice, but honestly, I prefer the Lotus Flower palette. This is a pretty design, and I also like the Lotus Flower design, and I like the Dragon. All three palette designs are pretty, but what's inside, I don't know if you're my skin tone, it does show up, but I don't know, maybe the undertone is just not right. The bronzer didn't even show up. Probably could use that one as a finishing powder. And the three blushes are pretty. I kind of do like this apricot one, but I think when you pair it with another blush, it does look pretty. I don't know, the shades in this palette, not my favorite either. So yeah, the Lotus palette is my favorite out of the three. It just looks better. You can see it, doesn't look ashy. I will play around with the Evil Eye palette just to, you know, look at the blushes a little bit more. Play around with them, play with the different shades, but I know for sure the Dragon palette, I'm not gonna even bother playing with that one. I'll play with the Evil Eye palette, and I'll also play with the Lotus palette to see if it's, you know, one of my all-time favorite palettes of the Hourglass edits. So far out of the two, which one do y'all think? Which one do y'all like? Well, alright you guys, thank you so much for watching this video of me trying the 3 new ambient lighting palettes from Hourglass. New Holiday 2024 palette. If you liked and enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos like this, and you'll have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.